In this video, we're going to talk about another way that a company can get money, and it is through an installment note. So in an installment loan, the company is going to pay back interest and principal in each payment. So instead of waiting to the end to pay back the principal, we're going to pay back the principal over the life of the loan. Okay, so we're going to get started, and if I had to make journal entries for this, I need an amortization schedule. So we're going to learn how to set up an amortization schedule. This amortization schedule is going to show us our beginning balance, beginning carrying value, ending balance, how much of the payment is going toward interest, and how much of the payment is going toward the reduction of the principal. My carrying value is $100,000 because it tells us, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's hard to see, my computer screen is small. Okay. So the reason we know that is because it tells us we issued a $100,000 4% 5-year installment rate that has annual payments of $22,463. So each year, annual means once a year, I'm going to make this payment for this loan. Okay, so for my payment, the amount of cash I'm going to pay is going to be the $22,463, and that's going to be the same every year. I'm always going to make the same cash payment. And I'm actually going to put $462.71, so it will go down to 0 at the end. That's the exact amount. This was the rounded amount. And then it will be the same every year. And my interest expense is going to be the $100,000 times my 4%, because it tells us in the problem. Let me just do it like this. Times 4% times, we have an annual interest payment. So it pays every 12 months. So you would do 12 divided by 12. Okay, I have it down here also. You could put 1 because it is annual, or you could just leave it off since it's times 1. So here's our interest expense for 2015. So I'm paying a total amount of $22,463. Of that amount, $4,000 is going toward interest expense. So the remainder is going to go towards the principal amount to pay off some of that principal amount. So I would take the total amount I'm paying, and subtract out the $4,000. So this is the total amount going toward the reduction of the principal. So what is my balance of my note now? Well, it was $100,000. I subtract out the amount that I paid towards it. So now I owe $81,537. For the next year, I'm going to start out, my beginning carrying value is going to be what I ended with in the last year, so the $81,537. The amount of cash paid is always going to be the same. It's going to be the same cash payment every time. So I'm just going to copy that down. And remember, that is $22,462.71. In order for this to get to 0, we had to have the exact amount. So that's what that number is. My interest expense is going to be my beginning number times my 4% times 1, or 12 out of 12. And this number should be going down each time because my principal is going down. So therefore the interest I'm paying on the principal will go down, which that leaves more to go to my decrease in my notes payable. So we're paying this down. My ending carrying value will be my beginning minus my decrease in notes payable. And let's do one more year and then we'll copy the formulas down. So my beginning carrying value is always the ending from the year before. My interest expense is equal to my beginning balance times 0.04 times 1. Decrease in notes payable is always the amount of the cash paid minus the portion that goes to interest expense. And then ending carrying value is always beginning carrying value minus the decrease in notes payable. Now I'm just going to copy this formula down. So make sure that you put in that the beginning balance equals the carrying balance if you want to copy the formula. And let me try this again. So that was what was, I just didn't use a formula for that. So, okay, there we go. And as you can see at the end of 2019, my note balance is 0 because I had paid off this loan. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to use this table to help you with your journal entries. So in 2015, I issued a loan because I wanted cash. So I got cash of $100,000 and I'm going to pay it back at the end of the term in 5 years. So I debit cash and credit notes payable for the amount of the note. Okay, at the end of 2015, and normally they'll give you dates, but let's just say at the end, you're going to do your first payment, your annual payment. And the easiest thing to do is skip down and do cash because the cash payments are never changing. They're going to be $22,463. And our notes payable is going to go down by the decrease. So we need to debit it because we're paying it down for $18,463. And interest expense needs to go up. So I need to debit it. And the interest expense is $4,000. So that will be my payment for 2015. For 2016, go ahead and do cash because we know that cash is always going to be the same when you're doing an installment note. Okay, the notes payable. This time, the decrease in notes payable is $19,201. And then the interest expense is $3,261. So we would do our entries for all 5 years. But what I want to point out is these two numbers here will always equal your total cash payment. Some is going to the note and some is going to the interest. But these two numbers together would always equal the cash payment. And you can see that in the amortization schedule. And this is what an installment note is. Each payment is made up of some of your interest, and some is your principal. So each cash payment contains interest and principal. And after all 5 years, if I were to set up a T account for my note payable, I would show a zero balance in my note payables account after the 5 years. So again, this is how you amortize an installment note, and this is how you make your journal entries for an installment note. Let me know if you have any questions.